Hello again, viewers. This is going to be a fairly quick episode, as I'm just showing off the last of the Knight tribe here. And what better way to start than with another battle against the Hero Borg unit. I'll be opening with Ghost Knight.
Alright, let's rock!
Now, Ghost Knight is similar to Elemental Knight, except instead of his fist detaching and returning, it becomes an explosive missile. You can fire it more often because of that, and it does a bit more damage, although it's a bit more difficult to connect in melee combos, as the explosion tends to knock enemies out of the range. Also, when Ghost Knight tosses his sword, he doesn't fall apart the way Elemental Knight does. It does leave you a bit more vulnerable while it's out, but if the target is far enough away, you can still move while the sword's completing its arc, so you're not completely helpless. I was trying to focus on dodging attacks, but the hero's coordinated, and Cyber Hero's laser takes out Ghost Knight.
I'm not done yet.
Next up is Ruby Knight, one half of the Death Force bodyguards. Ruby Knight also uses bombs like Ghost Knight, except the fact that his can be shot down in mid-flight, and combined with his X-Attack Hexabomb means you'll generally want to stay in close range with your enemy. Although I can't really do that right now, as there's too many to try and focus on one like that. Ruby Knight's bombs have a good explosion range, and they do good damage. It's just the fact that they're shot down so easily can be kind of frustrating. Unfortunately, Gold Hero has gone back to civilian mode, so I have a bit of a respite. Hexabomb is like Hammer Robot's Tetra Bomb, although it's a lot easier to use because its spread means Borgs can't just walk under it. Quick activation of Power Burst to start spreading bombs all over the place. Metal Hero hit Star Hero with his own attack. A good thing there's reduced ally damage. These hero battles all tend to follow a similar trajectory. If you can survive the initial onslaught and take out a few of them, the battle becomes a lot easier. Right now, I just need one more hit to get rid of Star Hero. And with that done, it's just me and Metal Hero. Melee attacks aren't really too effective against Metal Hero, as his armor means he won't get knocked away. Unfortunately, bombs still do their full damage. And that's the game.
We showed them.
No prizes, but that's okay, we'll move right on to the next battle against the Copyman unit. Like the name suggests, the battle's mostly Copymen, although Walking Bomb and Deathborg Omicron do make an appearance. I choose Tetsuya as a partner to keep everything melee focused, and I'll be opening with Dark Knight.
Have no fear, I am here!
Dark Knight, Orochi's old partner, is essentially a modified Imperial Knight. Although he loses some combo potential by not being able to swing his swords independently, that makes him a lot easier to use. His red sword, Saul, is generally based on doing combos, and its charge attack is 4 lasers fired from his shield. You also get that spin attack from an air dash. Meanwhile, his blue sword, Star, is generally focused on knocking enemies around, and its charge attack is that ring of fire there. Generally, the laser is more useful, as the ring of fire doesn't actually deal any damage until it's all the way out. And if you're hit while it's happening, it'll just stop without doing anything. Like that there. It can be a useful tool at knocking enemies away, but generally, you'll stick with Saul as your main damage dealer, while occasionally switching to Star just to knock enemies off balance. That lightning strike doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's quite satisfying to send the enemy flying with it. And like I said, Star is really good at disrupting the enemy. Yeah, this battle really shows off the strengths and weaknesses of Copyman if you haven't used one before. It's also a good place to get one if you don't have it. Well, and I charge right through the Ring of Fire with the spin attack to take down my copy. And now it's a copy of Tetsuya's normal samurai. After this batch, the other pseudo knuckle borgs, or the head tossers, as they're also called, show up. I first start charging in, but once I notice there's a walking bomb there, I immediately turn tail. Thankfully, he takes out the enemies alongside Tetsuya, but we're still ahead, so it's all gravy. Now, that crystal coffee pen would be nice, but I wouldn't be too broken up if I don't manage to get it. I went too high and lost Dark Knight. Next up is Sapphire Knight, the other half of the Death Force bodyguards. And actually using them, you can see why they tend to put together, as Ruby Knight tends to stick to close range, while Sapphire Knight is comfortable at either long or close range, with its spear and the lasers being really easy to hit with, especially its X attack, Mega Lance Beam. Now you can see the head tossing borgs they can be powerful, but they're hard to use, and if you miss with your head, you're entirely helpless. Thankfully, having to orient your shield to fire saved me from getting turned into a Death Eye there. Though a bad dash leaves me getting hit with it there. Now I'm going to focus all my attention on the Omicron, because I definitely don't want to get chain transformed. Death Eye is a little more mobile than Roach, fortunately. And after the quick transformation, I'm back to Sapphire. I definitely want to make the Omicrons my top priority, but it looks like that was the last one. So now it's just the copies. Too bad Tetsuya couldn't have taken out his Sword Knight copy before it interrupted my laser. But oh well. We're down to one enemy. Definitely not going to let him get an opening. And that'll be game.
We showed them.
I love it.
Of course, we get some copy men for prizes. Oh, and the crystal one. Nice. And we keep on keeping on with the knights. And have a battle against the Death Eye unit. Now, obviously, this isn't just a bunch of Death Eyes. That would just be a joke at this stage in the game. I'll be opening with Vlad, while our enemy's force consists of mostly Death Eyes, with Deathborg Omicron support. Vlad is Nakobe's partner, specifically a modified Vampire Knight. His modification is he has different melee attacks. Nope. Yeah, I talk about the need to be careful around Deathborg Omicron and charge right into a transformation. But like I was saying, Death Eyes are at least a bit more mobile than Roaches, as they have 3 jumps, and they also have projectiles. They're not very good projectiles, and they can't move very fast, but it's better than nothing. Generally, when fighting Deathborg Omicrons, you'll want to watch them closely, and only attack when they don't have a charge built up, or when their head is off after a miss. Looks like a Deathborg Delta has come along to support the Omicrons as well. But fortunately, Vlad's spin attack is really good at catching these Omicrons. I only charged them there because I was invincible at the time. But it looks like we built up Power Burst. And because Kotara's got good energy, I'll pop it here. Now one good thing about Power Burst that hasn't been shown yet, immunity to negative transformations. So these Deathborg Omicrons are basically entirely helpless while Power Burst is active. Unfortunately, I only needed the few seconds it gives you. And with that last combo, it's game.
We showed them! Yes, we won!
Yeah, my own Deathborg Omicron. That's always fun. And while Vlad marks the last of the new Nightborgs, Tom has been taunting me this whole episode, so I'm gonna go show him what for.
Fine.
Tsutomu makes a good balance for Nightborgs, while I'm generally stuck in melee range.
Just be cool. You guys are so weak.
Of course, a certain interaction here, given that Tama's Death Arc is unable to move, makes him particularly vulnerable to hatchet tossing. And while he has a second target to fire at, he's not focused entirely on me, so it's not going to be as stressful trying to dodge his lasers and cannons. Which is good, because Hatchet Knight is much slower than Proto King was. Tsutomu's at good health, so I've popped Power Burst and fill the sky with hatchets. Now you can see I've already cut a significant chunk of Tama's health off, and that's just from me throwing hatchets. And it looks like he wasn't able to bring his beam satellites this time, so now it's just down to the support Borgs. It looks to be pretty good ones, like Cybergirl Super. Yeah, even though Hatchet Knight is not as good as Axe Knight, they're still highly damaging. Which is good, because a lot of these support Borgs are actually really good. Like that killer girl there. Well, of course, her low HP does put her at a disadvantage against Hatchet Knight. But if I let her get her distance, that killer laser would probably take me out. And while Alien Insect isn't much a threat on its own, I don't really like having a bunch of insect scopes around when I'm throwing hatchets. Oh, well, looks like I got taken out by the other Borg. If I'd known it was Cybergirl Super, I might have changed targets. But that's okay, because Ruby Knight is actually fairly good against them, as explosives are a great way of stopping remote guns from hassling you too much, seeing as they go back at the slightest hit. Though it looks like a beam gunner support, and because I wasn't facing him, the shield was no help. Oh, but now it's 2-on-1. And while Beam Gunner would have the advantage, the AI can't really handle my close range attacks. That's why I definitely want to close in. It looks like the enemy's bringing the last of its forces. A single ICBM tank. Well, I definitely don't want to get sloppy and get blown up here. A single ICBM tank isn't much to worry about. I just want to keep an eye on the missile so I'm not anywhere near the blast radius. And now that its replacement missile is gone, this ICBM tank is nothing to worry about. There's really nothing it can do here. And with Hexabomb, that's game.
Alright, well, it's obvious. You guys must have cheated.
Hey, it's not my fault you brought a fortress to a night fight. Oh, a Killer Girl capsule. Nice. Oh, and apparently the beam gunner was alt color. And it seems like there's a bit of trouble between the Death Force commanders. We'll see where that leads some other time. Thanks for watching.